All right. Good evening, Commissioners, and over to you, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss, and welcome everyone to the Tuesday, August 27th, 2024, Washington County Board of Commissioners meeting. Clerk Moss, could you do us the honors, please?
Certainly, Chair Harrington. The Washington County Board of Commissioners, also meeting as the Board of Directors of Clean Water Services and all other county service districts, is now meeting this regular session, August 27th, 2024. Commissioner Treese?
Here.
Commissioner Rogers?
Here.
Commissioner Willie?
Here.
Vice Chair Fye?
Present.
Chair Harrington?
Here. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public communication. This is an opportunity for members of our community to come and share their comments with the board on any topic they would like for up to 2 minutes an individual. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
We do, Chair Harrington. We have Ms. Dale Feek. Dale?
As soon as you speak, the clock will start.
They started already. I haven't spoken. Oh, thank you. Chair Harrington and commissioners, especially Jerry Willie, who was at the city council meeting last night, and I was there too. We shook our hands twice. I'm chair of the Washington County Citizen Action Network. I sent you an email. I did a short summary, and that's what you received right now. I think I said I'm chair of the Washington County Citizen Action Network. And the email I sent to you was to you, Chair Harrington and commissioners, but also the mayor of Forest Grove, Mayor Linda Wenzel, and Steve Calloway, mayor of Hillsboro, and the councilors. Working through differences of opinion as nonpartisan elected officials to get the best services and programs for the constituents that elected you, whether county or city, is admirable. And I thank Mayor Steve Calloway, I'm not going to read that. I thanked Mayor Wenzel, I'm not going to read that. And I thank you, Chair Harrington, I'm going to read that, for helping write job descriptions that are used to recruit the best staff for the county and then letting the county advisors hire the best. Administrator Tanya Angie has become a respected county administrator leading Washington County. She is known as an effective leader in the wider community. Chief Executive Officer for Clean Water Services, Diane Taniguchi-Dennis, has continued the leadership of former CEO Bill Gaffey and provided needed sewage and stormwater treatment, working with the city and county officials as well as the state-level agencies in doing so. As you county commissioners know, I not only make written and oral comments at the Washington County business meetings, but also attend the work sessions and the Clean Water Service teaching learnings for you as a board commissioners for Clean Water Services so that I can learn and speak with some knowledge of how the county works. So in the spirit of being willing to interact with information, maybe not of your political perspective, please read the attachment in what I sent you an email by Heather Richardson. We are in a fight to keep our democracy in the November election. I want one quote: justice and freedom, discussion and criticism, intelligence and character. These are the indispensable ingredients of the democratic state. We can be rich and powerful without them, but not for long. I'm quoted Robert Hutchins. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feek. Was there any other members in the auditorium that wish to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes? Just raise your hand and start coming forward. I'm not seeing any in the room. Would any member online via Zoom wish to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes on any county-related topic? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. Next, we'll move on to tonight's consent agenda, which consists of 8 items, 2 items from Clean Water Services, 1 item from Health and Human Services, 1 item from the Sheriff's Office, 1 item from Facilities, Fleet, and Parks, and 3 items from Land Use and Transportation. What are the wishes of the Commission?
Move to accept.
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Next, we have 2 different proclamations. The first is to proclaim Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month. I'd like to invite Danny Ledesma, Janet Seja, and Gemma Balderas up to the table, please. Welcome. It's good to have you.
Buenas tardes. Me llamo Danny Ledesma, asistente administrador del condado. Esta noche estoy muy orgullosa de presentarles las personas que van a leer la proclamación y ofrecer palabras de presentación por la mes que celebrando. Good evening, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. My name is Danny Ledesma. I'm an Assistant County Administrator, and I'm really proud to be able to introduce both the fabulous people who will read the proclamation, as well as just offer a few introductory remarks in Spanish and in English. Como sabemos, el condado de Washington es muy diverso, pero para mí lo más importante es orgullo de la diversidad. Esto es personal. Mi abuelo de mi madre es de Galicia, de España, y mi familia de mi padre es de Juárez, Mexico, en el estado de Chihuahua. We know that Washington County is very diverse, and for me, what is most important is the pride that we take in our diversity. And for me, this is also personal. My mother's father, my grandfather, immigrated from Galicia, Spain, and my dad's family is from Juárez, Mexico, in the state of Chihuahua. En este condado, 20% de la comunidad somos latinos, y toda la comunidad celebramos latinos por nuestros éxitos y contribuciones. Para mí, esto es lo especial de trabajar y jugar en el condado de Washington. In our county, 20% of the community we are Latinos, and all of the county, we celebrate the success and contributions of our Latino community. And for me, that's what makes it so special to be able to work and play in Washington County. Estamos aquí para celebrar este mes, 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre, pero celebramos nuestros éxitos y contribuciones todo el año. We're here to celebrate this time, the 15th of September through the 15th of October, but we really get to celebrate our Latino success and contributions year-round. Ahora en inglés solamente, so now in English. So before I turn it over to our community member, Gemma Balderas, and staff member, Janet Ceja, to read the Washington County 2024 Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month Proclamation in English and in Spanish, I want to just say a couple things. So Washington County Cultural Heritage Celebrations and resource pages are an important starting point for our collective organizational engagement and learning about equity, diversity, and inclusion. The Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month celebrations we will be enjoying have been planned and organized by numerous staff who volunteer to support our learning in addition to their official work and in partnership with Clean Water Services. These cultural celebrations offer an opportunity to enter into and strengthen relationships with staff and community who recognize the important role that Latin American community members play in the diversity of Washington County. It's important to note the addition of "and Latin American" to the title of the Heritage Month, that was a careful but deliberate decision agreed upon by all of the members of the Planning Committee. It's a reflection and celebration honoring the rich diversity found within our community. The Hispanic and Latin American community, like all other cultures, is not monolithic, encompasses a range of diverse life experiences and opinion. Consequently, the celebrations and resource pages may not present a comprehensive picture of the nuances or full range of opinions within any culture or subculture. However, the staff who participate in the Heritage Month committees are thoughtful about the learning opportunities they share with our Washington County community. We encourage people who may be curious about what is or not presented, or the policy implications of what is shared this month, to reach out to us at OEICE or open a dialogue with colleagues and/or the Planning Committee. I want to thank all of the members of the committee who met over the past few weeks and who utilized a shared leadership model and helped to develop this proclamation and the resulting activities. Committee members included Janeth Ceja, Maria Gomez Martinez, Beatriz Yanez, Alma Guitron, Cindy Ocampo Perez, Christian Salgado, Cristina Lara, Kayla Barrientos, Nicel Garcia Duffy, Odalis Aguilera, Pablo Nieves Valenzuela, Valentina Barrett, Bianeth Valdez, Ika Falstrom, and our partners at Clean Water Services. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gemma Balderas, our community member, and Janeth Ceja to read the Washington County Hispanic and Latin American Proclamation, both in Spanish and English. Thank you so much for being at the table.
Is on? All right, good evening, everyone. A proclamation in honor of Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month, September 15, 2024 through October 15, 2024. Whereas each year, the United States observes National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15 to October 15 by recognizing and celebrating the history, traditions, cultural diversity, and countless contributions of those whose ancestors were indigenous to North America, including Mexico, as well as those whose ancestors came from Central America, South America, Spain, and the Caribbean. And
Hello. Una proclamación en honor al mes de la herencia hispana y latinoamericana, del 15 de septiembre del 2024 al 15 de octubre del 2024, considerando que cada año los Estados Unidos celebran el mes nacional de la herencia hispana del 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre, reconociendo y celebrando la historia, las tradiciones, la diversidad cultural y las innumerables contribuciones de aquellos cuyos antepasados fueron indígenas de América del Norte, incluido México, así como aquellos que vinieron de América Central, América del Sur, España y el Caribe. Y
whereas the observation of Hispanic Heritage Month began in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Johnson and was expanded by President Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period.
considerando que la celebración del mes de la herencia hispana comenzó en 1968 como la Semana de la Herencia Hispana bajo el presidente Johnson y fue ampliada por el presidente Reagan en 1988 para cubrir un periodo de 30 días.
Whereas the date September 15th is significant because it is the anniversary of independence for the Latin American countries of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Additionally, Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and September 18th, respectively, and
considerando que la fecha del 15 de septiembre es significativa porque es el aniversario de la independencia de los países latinoamericanos de Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras y Nicaragua. Además, México y Chile celebran sus días de independencia el 16 y 18 de septiembre, respectivamente. Y
whereas Washington County recognizes and honors the rich diversity within our communities, and in an effort to foster an environment of inclusivity and respect, acknowledges that the terms Hispanic and Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine are not interchangeable, as those who identify as Hispanic may trace their heritage to Spanish-speaking countries or Spain. Conversely, Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine encompasses individuals from Latin American countries who may not necessarily speak Spanish and embody a range of racial and ethnic backgrounds, including, but not limited to, Indigenous, African, Portuguese, European, and Asian heritage, and
considerando que el Condado de Washington reconoce y honra la diversidad de nuestras comunidades y en un esfuerzo por fomentar un ambiente de inclusión y respeto, reconoce que los términos hispano y latina, latino, latinx, latine no son intercambiables, ya que aquellos que se identifican como hispanos pueden rastrear su herencia a países de habla hispana o a España. Por el contrario, latina, latino, latinx, latine abarca a las personas de países latinoamericanos que no necesariamente hablan español y que encargan la variedad de orígenes raciales y étnicos, que incluyen, entre otros, herencia indígena, africana, portuguesa, europea y asiática. Y
whereas this year's theme, Pioneers of Change, Shaping the Future Together, recognizes all the Hispanic and Latin Americans who have been trailblazers and game changers, paving the way for our future generations.
considerando que el tema de este año, Pioneros del Cambio, dando forma al futuro juntos, reconoce a todos los hispanos y latinoamericanos que han sido pioneros y cambiadores del juego, allanando el camino para las generaciones futuras.
Whereas we rededicate ourselves to addressing the barriers and lack of equal access to opportunity that many Hispanic and Latin Americans still face. And
Considerando que nos volvemos a dedicar a abordar las barreras y la falta de igualdad de acceso a las oportunidades que muchos hispanos y latinoamericanos aún enfrentan y
whereas in Washington County, the Hispanic and Latin American population is now 107,642, constituting approximately 17.9% of our total population, representing $3 billion in economic purchasing power in the state of Oregon and 6,300 business owned statewide. And
considerando que en el condado de Washington la población hispana y latinoamericana es ahora de 107,642, constituyendo aproximadamente el 17.9% de nuestra población total, con el poder adquisitivo económico que representa 3,000 millones para nuestra economía estatal y 6,300 empresas propiedad en todo el estado. Y
whereas Washington County's Hispanic and Latin American employees comprise 12% of our workforce, delivering services and providing leadership in all departments throughout our county. Our longest-serving Hispanic and Latin American staff members have contributed over 35 years of continuous service to our county and communities. And
considerando que los empleados hispanos y latinoamericanos del condado de Washington representan 12% de nuestra fuerza laboral, brindando servicios y proporcionando liderazgo en todos los departamentos de nuestro condado. Nuestros miembros del personal hispano y latinoamericano con más tiempo de servicio han contribuido más de 35 años de servicio continuo a nuestro condado y comunidades. Y
whereas Washington County honors and recognizes the many ways that Hispanics and Latin Americans have enriched and continue to enrich the fabric of our society and county as entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, entertainers, scientists, public servants, and as trusted community partners like Adelante Mujeres, Bienestar, Centro Cultural, Virginia Garcia, and Latino Network, all of which are driving prosperity, power, and progress in our diverse communities.
considerando que el condado de Washington honra y reconoce las muchas formas en que los hispanos y los latinoamericanos han enriquecido y continúan enriqueciendo el tejido de nuestra sociedad, y condado como empresarios, atletas, artistas, animadores, científicos, servidores públicos y como socios comunitarios de confianza como Adelante Mujeres, Bienestar, Centro Cultural, Virginia García y Latino Network, todo lo cual está impulsando la prosperidad, el poder y el progreso en nuestras diversas comunidades.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this day, 27th day of August 2024, the Washington County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2024, as Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month, and encourage all residents to celebrate the unique and vibrant history of our diverse communities and recommit ourselves to a shared future of healthy, peaceful, safe, and sustainable communities for all.
Ahora, por lo tanto, se resuelve que en este día, 27 de agosto de 2024, la Junta de Comisionados del Condado de Washington proclama del 15 de septiembre al 15 de octubre del 2024 como el mes de la herencia hispana y latinoamericana y alienta a todos los residentes a celebrar la historia única y vibrante de nuestras diversas comunidades y volver a comprometernos con un futuro compartido de comunidades saludables, pacíficas, seguras y sostenibles para todos.
Thank you very much for reading that proclamation. Commissioners, do we have a motion to adopt the Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month proclamation as read?
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Before we go down to take a ceremonial picture, to be joined by anyone here who would like to join us, do any commissioners have any comments?
Yeah, I do. Danny, this is, you've done a great job, and You two ladies are also very good representatives of the organizations, plus all the other organizations that you mentioned in the proclamation. And this is a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a panorama shot. Oh, so if everyone could hold their faces for 5 seconds while I do a panorama. That'll okay. Okay. And I'm going to start now. If everyone could look at me real quick for a picture, and then we'll redo the panorama. Commissioner Rogers. Actually, I think I got it right.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. That is one of 2 proclamations that we're going to be reading tonight and hopefully taking successful action on. This next one is to proclaim August 25th through August 31st, 2024 as Community Health Worker Awareness and Appreciation Week here in Washington County. And to kick us off is the Director of Health and Human Services, Marissa Mantle.
Well, thank you so much. Good evening, Chair Harrington, Board of County Commissioners. I'll only be up here for a moment, and then I'll step back to give room to our presenters. But as the Chair mentioned, my name is Marissa Mantle. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Director of Health and Human Services. I am thrilled to be here tonight. It's so fitting to be on the heels of the other proclamation to be presenting to you today, a proclamation for the last week of August to be in honor of our community health workers. So Magdalena Ramirez is here at the end of the table to be able to introduce our guest speakers and to take you through a brief presentation and then a reading of today's proclamation. So I'll turn it over to Magdalena and our guests.
Thank you, and good evening, Board of Commissioners. Thank you for having us here. My name is Magdalena Ramirez. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I serve here at Washington County as a Senior Program Coordinator for the Washington County Public Health. And today, our community health worker partners here are coming together with me to talk a little bit about our community health worker workforce and provide some awareness and appreciation in recognition of the National Community Health Worker Awareness Week. So I'll pass it on here so they can introduce themselves.
Good evening. My name is Ignolia Dyke, and I work for Virginia Garcia Memorial Health Center.
Hi, good evening. Crystal Tafoya, nice to meet you. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I'm a CHW with Adelante Mujeres. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Soraya Uder, and I'm a community health worker. I started my career as a community health worker in 2008 as a volunteer, and I am presently employed with a nonprofit called Familias en Acción. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're here today to request your board to join us and with other jurisdictions across the nation in declaring the 4th week of August as the National Community Health Worker Awareness and Appreciation Week.
Is there a clicker on the table? It might have gotten moved or not put up. Guess what, folks? We didn't.
Okay.
Oh, we found it. One of you gets to drive now. Thank you.
Oops. There you go. Thank you. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to be playing the video that we have here, but I do encourage everyone that's here in person and online to visit our webpage to learn more about community health workers and where and how to find a community health worker here at Washington County. And I am going to invite Ignolia here to share the definition of a community health worker.
Yes, so the definition that I want to read is from the American Public Health Association, which defines community health workers as frontline public health workers who are trust members of an or have an unusual close understanding of the communities they serve. This trusting relationship enables community health workers to serve as a link between health, social services, and the community they serve, facilitating access to services and improving the quality and cultural competence of service delivery. Community health workers also build individual and community capacity by increasing health knowledge and self-sufficiency through a range of activities such as outreach, community education, informal counseling, social support, and advocacy.
Thank you, Ignolia. And as Ignolia shared with us in the definition, our community health workers, they address many social determinants of health, and we're here on these slides, we're listing of some that we are aware of that our community health worker staff here at Washington County and also within our community-based organizations and healthcare organization partners are providing. Just to name a few, including access to medical and dental care, maternal and child health and wellness, support with communicable disease prevention and mitigation. And Washington County recognizes the cross-sector work that community health workers do to address social determinants of health through partnerships that support systems navigation and community capacity across public health and health and human services. And Ignolia here is gonna just share a little bit about our health literacy grant that just concluded in March.
So here we are representing a group of community health workers who were part of this Advancing Health Literacy Grant. So this grant actually highlights the work of the community health workers that have done for the community. So through an approximately $4 million Advancing Health Literacy Grant funded by the Office of Minority Health, a cohort of 12 community health workers were able to provide culturally responsive services and advanced personal health literacy to more than 41,000 residents of Washington County, facilitating culturally and linguistically appropriate services and access for COVID-19 tests, vaccines, and wraparound services to address food insecurity, unstable housing, utility support, and more during the COVID-19 emergency period and beyond. And as the slide show, the group also facilitate and coordinate services to 51,000 one-on-one direct support access to healthcare, 5,800 vaccines to community health worker coordinating vaccines events, and 17,000 COVID-19 texts were administered or distributed by funding CBOs. And in addition, the group created a health literacy training modules. This is a 4 modules training where they provide input. Everything was done through the lens of the community health workers. So with this model, is a model that highlight what is health literacy and how CBOs and healthcare system, as Virginia Garcia, we can improve the services and make sure that our patients not just come to our organization and just get out without not knowing what it really happened during the time when they visit the doctor, but also they walk out with some knowledge and say, yes, what the doctor told me, now I understand. Or also because part of this module is being adapted in our clinic for providers to, I would say, to have a level of communication with our patients. So now they can use some words that are more understandable to our patients. So part of that module, also we have 2 community health workers who not just provide input, but also to practice what they learned. For example, we have one of the community health workers hosting a table in one of our clinics, passing just information, telling people, what was your appointment about? Do you understand what the provider told you? Do you need any follow-up appointment? Let me help you to walk through the system. So no, we not just apply this one at the clinic, but also our other community workers in the different CBOs, they were able to practice the same thing.
And up next, we wanted to now go ahead and read the proclamation, and Soraya and Cristel are going to be reading that for us.
Proclamation, Board of Commissioners for Washington County, a proclamation in honor of community health workers for the last week of August, August 25th through August 31st, 2024. Whereas each year, the United States observes National Community Health Worker Awareness Week by celebrating the impact and contributions of community health workers, CHWs, to advance health equity. This year's national theme, Commemorate, Celebrate, and Collaborate, encourages all to celebrate CHWs, commemorate CHW achievements, and collaborate with CHWs as we work towards achieving health equity and justice. Today, Washington County will take the opportunity to recognize the work of CHWs in community-based settings, healthcare organizations, and within Washington County Health and Human Services. Their service has led to improved delivery of culturally and linguistically responsive services and advancement of health equity and justice across the Washington County, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, and now as we work together towards recovery and building resiliency. Whereas we recognize the community health workers are first and foremost a community-based workforce. As members and trusted leaders of the communities they serve, CHWs can connect and help community navigate and advocate for equitable services, many times due to their own shared lived experiences and commitment to change systems of oppression. Whereas we recognize that community health workers are a historic and diverse workforce, the CHW workforce is not a new profession. They have provided support and advocacy for their communities for centuries and hold essential roles as members known as tribal healers, advocates, community health representatives, promotores de salud, aunties, and outreach workers. Working and volunteering under many other titles, they carry out the work to advance health equity and build resilient communities. The CHW workforce is comprised of diverse backgrounds such as gender, faith, abilities, language, culture, race, and ethnicity, with the majority of CHWs identifying as female and people of color who have endured racism and inequitable services due to systems of oppression. The diversity and shared experiences provide CHWs with a unique and trusting bond with their communities. They can utilize this trust as well as their training in health equity and advocacy to help communities connect and access resources and navigate complex systems. Whereas we recognize that community health workers are a cross-sector workforce, embracing a holistic approach to address social determinants of health and advance health equity. CHWs work across sectors, including healthcare, cultural and social supports, housing, justice, and education to help members navigate systems and advocate for equitable services. They leverage community strengths and assets, establish formal and informal networks, and build and strengthen individual and community resilience, all while providing culturally and linguistically appropriate services to all individuals and families they serve.
Whereas, we recognize that community health workers are a proven workforce. Research studies from the past 60 years have demonstrated that CHW are not only effective at addressing the social determinants of health and key in advancing health equity, but also have a high return on investment and cost savings for healthcare expenditures. Whereas, we recognize that community health workers are a precarious workforce. CHWs are primarily women of color, and many are immigrants and mixed immigrant status. Due to these intersections in identities, they often face oppression in both their personal and professional lives. As a community workforce, they have some of the lowest salaries across the public health profession. In addition, through their work, they are exposed to both direct and vicarious trauma, as well as hazards such as communicable diseases. In addition to inequitable salaries, there are often a lack of recognition and integration by medical providers and other public health professionals, as well as inconsistent funding for CHW programs. Despite these considerable challenges, the CHW workforce continues to show up to ensure that communities receive the equitable services they deserve. Whereas, we recognize and honor the community health worker workforce as one that is unique, critical, and essential to advance cross-sector strategies that help achieve health equity and justice for our communities in Washington County. Now, therefore, be it solved that on this 27th day of August 2024, the Washington County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the 4th week of August each year as a Community Health Worker Awareness and Appreciation Week, and encourages all residents to commemorate, celebrate, and collaborate with community health workers. Thank you.
Well done reading the proclamation. Now, commissioners, what are the wishes of the board to proclaim this 4th week of August 2024 as Community Health Worker CHW Awareness and Appreciation Week in Washington County?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Commissioners, before we go down on the floor for a ceremonial photograph, would any of you wish to make any comments? Let's do it. Everyone join us. Thank you. Well, onward to a little bit more useful information for tonight's meeting. We have a presentation from the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement, their quarterly report with a draft framework proposal. Danny is back.
Danny.
Dynamic Danny Ledesma, our Assistant County Administrator and Interim Chief Equity Officer and
Hello
Inclusion
again.
Officer.
Hello again. Well, nice to see you again. And we're going to take you through basically what I'd like to do is present this updated framework that we believe really aligns with the board's priority and direction for Washington County's government's approach to this work in equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so, as you know, Washington County has a long commitment to this work, and not only commitment to the work, but a commitment to ensuring that staff and communities have opportunity and access to county resources and services. As a reminder, I wanted to both celebrate this legacy and put into perspective the large amount of progress that has been made over the recent years. And I feel like following the last proclamation is a wonderful way to kind of like highlight what just happened, where we had a proclamation talking about the importance of Hispanic and Latin American Heritage Month, and then you saw in really great detail how one of our leaders, Mira, and her team have really putting that commitment and that spirit into action. And I think we really want to try to continue that tradition and really spell out for not only for you and for staff and for community members, but for everyone that works for Washington County about how we think that there's lots of opportunities. So this timeline, however, begins in 2018 and marks the publication of the Washington County Leading with Race report. And I think that report was published in 2018, but 2 years prior to that, Washington County really took a lead role amongst all of the jurisdictions in Washington County in helping to get this publication published. And Washington County staff were really working deeply with the Coalition of Communities of Color and providing that leadership throughout the county about the importance of this report. And as you know, the Board of Commissioners really took that call to action and met regularly to really develop a comprehensive comprehensive countywide equity policy that was adopted in February 2020 and continues to provide direction and that sort of North Star to county employees. Later that year, the board hired our county administrator, Tanya Angie, and the first CEIO, Chief Equity and Inclusion Officer. And really, this set the stage for key implementation pieces of the resolution to be completed. Funding to set up the Office of Equity and Inclusion, launch of the internal staff-led Equity Leadership Council and subcommittees, and the adoption of the first EDI, or Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Action Plan. ACRE was established, or the Advisory Council on Racial Equity, which is community-facing, was established in April 2022. And throughout 2021 and September 2023, several key accomplishments from that EDI Strategic Action Plan were implemented, including the development and the usage of a budget equity tool, hiring of several key staff roles, and progress to ensure our county's compliance with language access. I included your board's adoption of the strategic plan update, as well as our One Washington County work plan development for context. Because while we are actively integrating this work into all departments, I also wanted to provide some perspective about the life cycle of this work. Much of the work to date has been about setting up foundational pieces that are important, and we are still really early in the work. And so it's my opinion that our equity resolution continues to provide that bright North Star and room for this next phase of the evolution of our work in equity, diversity, and inclusion. Okay, so the framework we are presenting to you today is intended to rest underneath the guidance and direction provided by the equity resolution and the definitions that are contained in the addendum. As you'll recall, I'm going to do a little bit of an overview of the equity resolution. The equity resolution really recognizes the diversity of the county and reiterates that belief that this diversity is an asset, The resolution acknowledges that there are disparities in outcomes for which our interventions and services can play a role in closing. Nothing like that last proclamation to hit that point home. The equity resolution affirms the county's commitment to EDI work, dismantling systems, programs, and policies that prevent access, ensuring county staff are reflective of the communities we serve, and the importance of supporting staff in this work. The resolution also affirms the collaboration with a broader community and the impacted communities in the approaches to equity, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Specifically, the resolution calls for 7 commitments and 7 pieces of action. So the 7 commitments include strengthening equity and inclusion in county programs, practices, and policies, continuing to develop an understanding of inequity of programs, practices, and policies that may be caused by them, providing leadership to make Washington County more equitable and inclusive, ensuring that public funds maximize public benefit for the community and equitable access for contractors and suppliers, allocating resources needed to advance equity and ensuring OEICE's resource to achieve goals, developing workforce training programs to support career advancement for employees and those we serve, and structuring the organizational model to model services, practices, and engagement to the needs of all residents. The resolution also directed the county administrator to create OEICE within the CAO office, a CEIO position reporting to the county administrator, and the Staff Equity Leadership Council, a Communities of Color Advisory Board, a purchasing policy to ensure increased access for DBE or disadvantaged business enterprises or minority-owned, women-owned, and emerging small businesses, a workforce program, and quarterly reports to the board. The resolution also provides clear definitions and terms with the purpose of providing clarity and guidance needed for the county's both internal and external facing work. So our hope is that this proposed framework really continues to build on that foundation and guidance with the hopes of continuing to evolve, to improve, and learn in service of our communities. So we are really at a time of transition with the departure of our first CIO, with staff transitions, and a set of dynamic external and internal conditions. The county administrator, Tanya Angie, has really continued to provide leadership and a sense of urgency that this work has to continue, encouragement that we can't lose momentum and we must continue to roll up our sleeves to do this work. And so looking forward with both internal and external feedback, we believe that there are several opportunities to deepen the work, to create coherence, consistency, and alignment throughout the county government, while also aligning with the One Washington County mission and vision. To inform the organization of these opportunities, several key stakeholders identified areas where additional capacity is really needed to produce those positive outcomes for underserved communities. These stakeholders included Washington County Department staff and leadership, community members, nonprofit organizations, and jurisdictional partners through ACRE meetings, county leadership team meetings, the Washington County Equity Leadership Council, and subcommittees, and informal meetings provided where feedback was provided. And from this feedback, several themes started to emerge. The first theme was really about folks wanting to see a clear touchstone, to be able to translate the aspirations of the equity resolution into practical guidance, ways that they could see themselves in the work and provide that transparency, that this is really what we're about at Washington County when we say, what do we mean? We also heard that this needs to be socialized throughout Washington County, that both leadership and frontline staff need to be able to feel not only that commitment to it, but also to see themselves in the work and to be able to be part of that work and to feel a part of that work. We also heard that now is the time to really lean into learning. Lots of people talked about both the openness and the real desire to continue to learn more, not just about the concepts, but about how to apply those concepts in service to our community members. We also heard that it would be helpful to have more consistency of expectation around what does it look like to partner with OEICE, to collaborate with OEICE, and what are those roles and services that are provided by OEICE, and how are those communicated, and how are they available to other departments? We also heard, and makes my heart sing, about we really wanted to see the sort of like straight line between the strategic plan update, our work plans, and then how this work is being carried out. That real alignment with our with the direction that you all provide, as well as some of the work that's being done through our work plans. So with this feedback, we think that there is lots of opportunity to provide that clarity, and you'll see in the first three elements are really responsive to feedback around the need for that touchstone and that transparency, that almost that translation of how do we turn our aspirations into the work ahead. So the first element that we have is an equity statement. Over the last about 6 months, the executive leadership team with Tanya's leadership has really sort of dug deep around how can the executive leadership continue to provide that leadership to model the work that needs to get done. And so we've reviewed and present this equity statement, which basically summarizes a lot of the elements of the equity resolution, but also starts to focus on the work is in service of trying to achieve three outcomes. We want to make sure that we're increasing access to county services and resources. We want to make sure that we're achieving an outcome where everyone feels a sense of belonging. The diversity of our staff really feel that inclusion is speaking to that we're not just talking about that, but that there are practices, there's a culture of belonging, and that people feel really valued for what they bring. And if we're doing really well with those two outcomes, we can continue to apply our interventions and services to help to close those disparities. So that equity statement it's not that long, but it's still pretty long. And so when we talk about our sort of like, well, what does this mean? Like, what is this work all about? We have a theory of action, right? If we do this, then what will we achieve? And so, sorry that the picture's gone, but the idea is that if as a county government, if as a county, if as a Washington County government, we continue to invest in systems change to disrupt those patterns of inequity in programs, practices, and policies, and capacity building to really build our staff learning, collaboration, and skill building, then we'll be able to achieve those outcomes of access, belonging, and closing those disparities. We hope to do this through continued work that we're doing to try to build a high-functioning organization, right? So we want to make sure that we're identifying opportunities for individuals to learn, to take leadership, but that really is focused on that really builds towards building that strong organizational culture, and that if we have that strong organizational culture, we'll be able to build strong systems and structures that sustain over time, so that this work is not personality dependent. It's not something that you can sort of point in only one area, but is really integrated throughout the county and becomes part of the DNA of the county. So we're proposing a new operating framework for OEICE, and we're calling these 4 pillars of work. So the first is community engagement. The second is professional learning and development. The next is EDI, organizational tools and services, and the last is data equity. And so this really is responsive not only to the feedback, but we think really aligns well with some of the foundational work and is that sort of like next step from where the equity resolution outlined this. So community engagement, as you all know, is, these are the practices that increase meaningful participation in county government and decision-making. This includes the process of involving and collaborating with communities to address issues of inequity, engage in decision-making to try to achieve long-term outcomes. And the community engagement really supports appointed boards and commissions, the civic leadership training program, and internal county departments in these and other equitable community engagement activities. Staff also support the Advisory Council on Racial Equity and the Committee for Community Involvement and the Community Participation Organizations. So this work will continue. It's work that there's already staff dedicated to, and that there is a line of work. What we are moving towards and what we are proposing is that every department is developing a work plan, and in that work plan development process, we've overlaid with thoughts around equity and how do you embed in each of the goals these items. And so rather than having a separate equity action plan report, you would see in not only the OEICE action plan where you'll see these goals and deliverables and report outs, but in every department you'll start to see how this gets integrated into their work. So for 2024, there's really two goals around community engagement, which is about increasing the number of diverse community participants in county boards and commissions. And you heard earlier today about our plans to modernize the CCI and CPO program. So it's all coming together tonight. And so what you'll see is, in terms of deliverables and reporting against, making sure that all of our county departments and big initiatives are presenting at ACRE, that we have a revised R&O for CCI and CPO modernization, and that we're really thinking about the not only growing the Diverse Civic Leaders Program, but also creating more opportunities for alumni to continue to engage and deeper that engagement with Washington County. So that is familiar. We're proposing going a little bit deeper, and this is something that is a new area of focus, and something that we will really want to resource staffing for. So what we're proposing is organizational-wide equity, diversity, and inclusion training that is provided to all staff, where staff have opportunities to be able to participate, but that this is really aligned to a comprehensive set of EDI learning standards or competencies, and that every employee will have access to be able to gauge where they are in their learning journey, will have access to a catalog of training opportunities, and then be able to access those training opportunities. And of course, we'll want to take a continuous improvement approach to this. So we'll evaluate everyone's learning growth and make adjustments. And so for this first year, our goal is really to engage in a first cycle of a learning program with hopes of bringing that cycle to scale and continuing to do that in years to come. This is something that we really want to help to demystify and to demystify what it means to be skilled at equity, diversity, and inclusion, while at the same time, we also want to continue to lean into, and I know you've heard Tanya talk about this, that growth mindset, that everyone can participate, everyone can learn, and everyone can get better at this. And this is part of that culture of like continuous improvement and learning. And so we hope that this really creates a positive culture. It continues to contribute to create a positive culture here at Washington County. The next one is EDI organizational tools and services. And this is really a combination of some new things and a lot of other areas of services that OEICE was providing, but attempts to coalesce it around really some comprehensive services that are available to other internal departments. So every department would have access to a menu of services that are available. They'd know which staff are doing what, and they would know how to access those services to really, in service of trying to improve. And the idea is that we really want to make sure that the staff at OEICE continue to be really strong project managers and also change managers, and can be a trusted confidant for department leaders to really help in a couple of in these service areas. So we continue to make sure that we are in compliance around civil rights and language access. We would really dive deeper in our equity lens, both application and analysis of those equity lens answers. We would continue to think about how to build an internal culture of belonging. So we'd go a little bit deeper in employee resource groups, continue our cultural celebrations and our days of recognition, and then really build out some strong services around bridging or support for some conflict resolution, and also how to support other departments as they set their goals and their work plans around how can you advance EDI within those goals and that goal setting. So we really want to, this year is really focused on maintaining that compliance, making sure that departments are applying the lens, and then providing those services to, continuing to grow to provide those services to more and more departments throughout the years. The last area is data equity. And really, this is about providing project and change management leadership for data analysis and evaluation of the county's efforts to advance equity, diversity, and inclusion. So this is that sort of like anchor for measurement of how we're doing. So it would, this work we propose would really develop the analysis framework for baselining and aligning demographic data collection, reporting, and evaluation. And staff would work really in close contact with the Department of Information and Technology Services to make sure that we're building in those systems to there. And so you'll see that there's a couple of deliverables, including this data equity assessment project that's underway, but also aspirations to update our countywide Leading with Race report now, almost 7 years later, and then also some beginning to select a vendor and do some testing on a countywide equity atlas. And we believe that baseline of information will allow our county employees to really gauge their progress against these areas. It also helps, we hope will be important for decision makers like yourself to be able to access this demographic information and disparity information as you consider county services and our county service and inventory and analysis and assessment. And this becomes another strong system in which we can sort of gauge where we are and continue to ask those tough questions. So some of this, and when we talk about next steps, a lot of this is we do want to make sure that we are engaging as many people as possible about this sort of shift to deepening the work. We want to be really clear about what this next evolution of the work is. And we want to make sure that we're being really clear that we really see this as the next evolution in achieving the aspirations, the commitments, and the direction from the equity resolution that was passed. So we are trying to get as much feedback about this. So we've talked with OEICE staff, with our Equity Leadership Council, which is inclusive of our county leadership team and our executive leadership team. We've talked with you. We're also planning to bring this to ACRE in September, and really trying to get as much feedback about this. We really think that there's great opportunities for this alignment with our strategic plan update and our work plans and how we're intending to operationalize the work. And we think that there's also really great alignment with our ELC, or Equity Leadership Committee structure, to be able to accomplish some of these cross-functional goals that are contained here. We are hoping to sort of get your feedback and kind of thumbs up on this sort of framework, because the next step is, this is really answering like the what are we doing? The next step is thinking about how do we align staffing and resources within OEICE to be able to accomplish this. And so I wanted to let you all know that the CEIO recruitment is still humming along. We're very optimistic about that recruitment. And so one of the hopes is to be able to really have this strong framework in place so that as the new CEIO gets onboarded to the county, that this is a great way to kind of hit the ground running and continue to execute on the board's direction and this framework.
So if I could, we, as the board, worked with our staff and community feedback to propose, draft, and then ultimately adopt the strategic plan update. And as you've talked about in Ms. Angie managing the organization of over 2,400 employees, she's told us that in following through with the strategic plan update, that each department will be developing these department work plans. And what you've done here is developed a framework proposal for the department moving forward and carrying that out, not only for their direct deliverables internally, but also externally with the community. So our role is the CAO, the county administrator, is really the decision maker in terms of saying, yes, I see how this framework with 4 pillars and these goals demonstrates this department's work towards that end. Am I summarizing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, and the reason I wanted to do so was to make sure that as you move forward in seeking additional feedback, that it's really not starting over on the 4 pillars, the goals and the deliverables for this year, but rather it will help continue to refine work plans in goals and such into future years.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, I got it. Commissioners, questions, comments?
Now, I'd like to say this was a great summarization of where we've been going for the last several years. I love the one in there that didn't show up on your slide presentation that says, if, then. And I thought that was just the perfect picture of, yeah, if we do this, then we can move ahead with what it is we're trying to accomplish. So good job on this, Danny.
Thank you, and it was a great presentation, and Chair, I think you put it into context in relationship to where it fits in the strategic planning process and the next steps, and we have been getting quarterly updates, so we're a little unique in getting this from your department, so thank you for that. But if you could put that slide back up again, the internal next steps for 2024-25. Today we had a presentation on the modernization of CPO and CCI. Would they fit into the stakeholder engagement piece here? I don't see them listed there as stakeholders.
I think they haven't been listed, but there's nothing prohibiting us from adding them to that. And I think to the chair's point around we really are we're trying to kind of keep the momentum going, right? And so I think we want to try to be as inclusive as we can, while also kind of keeping the horses going, right? And so I think that.
I'd like to
in
see
that vein.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you go back to the slide, community engagement, they're actually part of that. Okay. But they're only one part of county community engagement, which is why they're not listed on that other slide. Because, see, right
yeah,
here.
they're
part of that.
They're
part of achieving those goals and those deliverables. But for the entirety of community engagement and those internal next steps, all the boards and commissions represent, and then some, represent the community engagement efforts of the county. So, which is why they aren't listed separately here in terms of stakeholder engagement.
Yeah. I think also it's like a great opportunity because I think because they have been part of OEICE, they've had like curiosity about sort of like where they rest within this. And so this framework really is helping to create that clarity, not only for internal staff, but also for those boards and commissions and sort of like where they lie in there. And so hopefully they see themselves in those goals and those deliverables. And as the chair said, you know, Tanya will be providing you all with a quarterly update across all of our work plans. And so you'll see pieces of this work each quarter and sort of our progress against that. So it's something that we're launching tomorrow, and we're really excited about it.
And I do want to emphasize that I think this is great work, and I'm looking forward to the presentation as co-chair of ACRE in September.
Thank you.
Other commissioners? Great. I think we've done our part tonight on that. Thank you very much. And thank you to all who contributed to develop that framework, the goals and deliverables. Next, we have our second public comment period for tonight's meeting. This is an opportunity for members of our community to come and share their thoughts with the board for up to 5 minutes an individual. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up in the auditorium. Would anyone in the auditorium wish to provide comment for up to 5 minutes on any county topic? Please stand up, start coming forward. Not seeing anyone in the auditorium. Would any member online via Zoom wish to provide public comment for up to 5 minutes? Give you just a moment to utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. Next, we'll move on to board announcements. And Shazam, just like that, the month of August comes to a business end. And we are staring down the month of September already. Next Tuesday, September 3rd, after the holiday Monday of Labor Day weekend, we have a work session at 9 a.m. That will be paused, and we will go into the Housing Authority Board of Directors meeting at 10 a.m., and immediately following that, we'll go into the board meeting. The following Tuesday is just work session day, starting at 9 a.m. On Thursday of that week, September 12th, we'll have our monthly Board of Commissioners roundtable. The following Tuesday, September 17th, we'll have a work session starting at 9. We'll pause that, reconvene as a board for the board meeting at 10, and then reconvene in work session, just like we do September 3rd. And Tuesday, September 24th, we're not having board meetings that day. So don't worry, you haven't missed anything that day. Then we'll be staring down the month of October. That's it for me. Any other board announcements? Okay. Well, do we have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So move.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Good night, everyone. Thanks for being here.